Last year on October, we took a look at the Resident Evil games that were only released for mobile phones, which to this day have been forgotten and lost in obscurity. Java mobile games are very hard to find, but they are worth searching for because a lot of them actually were great games. And Capcom actually released many Resident Evil games on old school mobile phones. However, there were a handful of RE games that even I didn't know about when I was purchasing these Resident Evil Java mobile games at the time. And reason why was because they were only released in Japan. And again, these Java mobile games are hard to find. It was a lot harder trying to get any bit of info regarding these exclusive RE games, but I was able to get enough info to describe them to you. And in case you guys are wondering how I got this info, well, most of it came from ProjectUmbrella.net, one of the best sources to turn to for Resident Evil information. I'd say it's the best source to turn to for that info, so shout out to those who worked on it. I'll leave a link in the description to the website so you too can check them out. Now, let's take a look at a game I'm sure no one in the States ever knew existed. Well, at least most of us fans. This game is called Biohazard I, Survivor. Yes, another Resident Evil Survivor game was made, but only released in Japan as a Java mobile game. The first Survivor game was released in the year 2000 for PC and the PlayStation 1. Then a year later they released Resident Evil Survivor 2 Code Veronica, but surprisingly that same year they released another Survivor game but exclusive to Japan as a mobile Java game, Biohazard I, Survivor. Unfortunately, I could not find a ROM of the game and I could only find a handful of images and bits of info about it. So here it is. Biohazard I, Survivor is an iMode version of the horror game series Biohazard released on PlayStation. The player will lead one unit of the Special Forces STARS to challenge the mysterious incidents and zombie control that occurred in the city of Umbrella City. I'm guessing they meant to say Raccoon City, unless this is like a what-if scenario including an entirely different city known as Umbrella City. At the start of the game, the player selects a character to command from among 3 characters. Meet characters with various special abilities during the game and form your own unit by adding them to your friends. By fighting monsters and resolving events, the team will grow, and by rearranging the team formation, you can create a team as you like, such as attack power, discover ability, and recovery ability. Damn, does that sound a little too good to be true? Because it sounds awesome! In addition, you can set up a joint front with other teams playing at the same time, solve events, exterminate monsters, etc., and also have a function to play against each other. What? This Java mobile game from 2001 had online multiplayer? You could work with teams or work against them? Let's see, what else does it say? As for items, familiar guns and herbs from the Biohazard series for home video game consoles have appeared, and elements of item synthesis are also included. Here's a little bit more info. The major differences from the consumer version are that it has changed from a 3D action game to an adventure network game, and that you can team up with friends, NPCs, fight zombies, and earn experience points to level up your team. You can also help other players in the same location or apply for mock combat. Even on a mobile phone, the thrill of encountering zombies is a solid Biohazard experience. Since it's not an iApply, you must be connected to iMode to play the game. Not sure what that is though. So the gameplay is said to be a card-based game, and the story even includes new members joining STARS. Their names are Anna, Kay, Frank, Al, and Kentaro. It also includes Jill and Chris. So what do you guys think? In writing, it sounds like a fantastic game, but if you look at the only screenshots here, it's hard to say that the game had to be a masterpiece for a Java game. Now, Java games can work as fantastic games. It's one of the reasons why I love Java games, because the developers only had a very small file size for this one little ROM game, and yet they managed to cram so much content, like with Terminator Salvation and Resident Evil The Missions. They're works of art. So even though the graphics look like a regular Nintendo game, they could still entertain the hell out of you. Now also, developers knew how to tell a great story with text in favor of gameplay or more images, and especially with Japanese games, I'm guessing since they've released a lot of Japan exclusive visual novel games. which are anime text-based stories with static or sprite-based visuals. So I'm guessing that if Biohazard iSurvivor was more of a puzzle text game with RPG elements, and it had online multiplayer modes, then it must have been something great. I can't believe we missed out on this game. Next one is Biohazard Zombie Shooter. They say that this game is very similar to Resident Evil Assault the Nightmare, but by the looks of the gameplay screenshots, I think they meant that it's similar to the first-person gameplay they attempted with that game. Because these screenshots that I found make the game look like a sliding puzzle game because of the grid. But I think each square in the grid is meant to represent each numeric button on a cell phone, excluding the 0 button. So the top corner is button number 1, whereas the bottom right square is button number 9. Either way, if it's a sliding puzzle game or this old school version of a first-person shooter, it doesn't look like it's a fun Resident Evil game. Biohazard Survival Door is another Japan-exclusive mobile game, and it is said to be a very similar copy to RE Assault the Nightmare, so I guess they pulled a current Capcom move back then when they needed some quick cash, or in their terms, some quick yen. Now, let's move on to the 3 mobile games I wish I had access to. Do you remember the game Resident Evil The Missions? The Java mobile game based on Resident Evil 3 Nemesis but only took place in the RPD, but it had countless missions to unlock, including secret missions, extra items never before seen on the console game, like the night vision scope or metal detector, and my favorite of all, the exclusive costumes for Jill, which were never included in any versions of Resident Evil 3. And apparently, this exact spin-off game got its own sequel called Resident Evil The Stories. But it was only released in Japan, so technically it was just called Biohazard The Stories. I can't believe this. As much as I loved and hated that game because of the controls on the touchscreen, this is a game I would love to play. In this game, it only takes place on the St. Michael's Clock Tower, FU Resident Evil 3 Remake, and it actually lets you play as not only Jill, but Carlos, Nikolai, and Mikhail. So now I'm wondering if each character in this game has their own alternate costumes like with the previous spin-off game. I would very much like to know if each mercenary has his own alternate costumes, because even the original RE3 did not include one for them. Jill was the only character who possessed multiple costumes. So I can only imagine what these characters look like in different outfits. But guess what exclusive mobile game gets released next? Biohazard The Operations. And this game happens to use the same gameplay and pyramid mission style that RE The Missions and Stories took. But it's not another spin-off sequel. It's instead taking place in the first Resident Evil game, but the remake version. So if you thought that the previous 2 RE mobile games were badass, you can only imagine how this one was like. Oh, and they also released a sequel to Resident Evil The Stories. This one's called Biohazard The Episodes. And it goes back to the original RE3, and this time it mainly concentrates on the streets of Raccoon City. Oh my god! Why, Japan? Why? This is a collection I would dream of owning on an old school cell phone so that I can enjoy them on their proper platform. Heck, I would love to find those ROMs just to try them out and unlock all those missions, and most importantly, witness those new and original alternate costumes, which I guess, I'm guessing they were made since the developers were gracious and talented enough to give us their own costumes for RE The Missions, so who knows what they look like. Maybe one day those ROMs will be available online. Maybe now, after shining some light to these obscure games, people might actually start searching for them and we might actually get access to them. Who knows, right? Anything is possible.
Oh, run! I hate these controls with a fucking passion. Come on! I tried aiming up and it was like, nope. You son of a... Come on! Yeah. Ah! I hate these controls. They're making me so furious. I bet you no one's even fucking heard me screech. Come on! Yes! Finally! I must survive. I just got rid of the worst nuisance in this freaking game. in this challenge. Nemi is never that big of a challenge in most challenges of this friggin' game. My god.
That's it for the video. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button to give this video a chance to grow. I'd like to thank all my Patreon supporters for their impeccable generosity. Your support means a lot to me, and you are part of the reason why I try to make the best content that I can. And if you like this content, check out the rest of my channel. You'll find more entertainment from separate franchises I like to cover, such as Mortal Kombat, Dragon Ball Z, Celebrity Deathmatch, Men in Black, The Mask, Batman comics, The Terminator, TMNT, Dino Crisis, Resident Evil, and more. If you're a Patreon supporter, check out my exclusive videos such as the Gantz content. And if you'd like to show your support, go to my Patreon and support the channel, which is only $1. Sacrifice that McChicken for extra quality content, my friend. But anyways, I'll see you all in the next video, and remember to have an awesome day.